With political tension at an all-time high, it probably should surprise no one that politics can affect our love lives, dating, and marriage. I think we're going to have a very interesting conversation with love coach Stacey Murphy. Stacey, how are you today?
Hi, Stacey.
Hello. Hey, Art and Jennifer. How are you guys doing?
It's all good. So a recent Pew Research survey reveals many single Americans looking for love this election year are less inclined than ever to consider swiping right on someone from the opposing political party. What are the challenges for dating couples who differ politically?
Well, that can definitely be a landmine. I mean, we see how relationships and communication is going lately in our society, but honestly, there's actually three paths that people can take, you know, if they're what I call an interpolitical type of relationship. And many people were thinking, I thought there would be only two options, but there are actually three, right? And so I think if you look at like research, what they're saying, I think almost 50% of the Democrats will not cross the party line, and almost 25% of the Republicans won't cross the party line as well. So, you know, I call that the path of just no way, no bueno. I know my lane. I'm going to stick in my lane, you know, and it's like the Cold War where each person is, you know, in their respective corners and stuff like
the
that.
Cold War.
Yeah, they're in like their respective corners, you know what I mean? And they're like not budging.
Okay, so that's number one.
And then the second and third one are people that say, you know what? Yes, I'm going to try this, but there are two different ways and that people will go about doing it. And one way will actually produce what I call the War of the Roses, right? It'll be like the Cold War. So they're like the yes, but people. Yes, I will try, but I'm going to try to convince you how my side is the correct side, right? And so that's where the War of the Roses is. And so if you're going to be going down that path, it's going to be, you know, doomed. I will tell you that. It will be totally doomed because, you know, you can be constantly fighting and arguing. But there is another option for those that want to make it work, and it entails like four different things. So if you're that type of person and you're like, yes, I want to make this work and I want to hear the other person's side, it also comes down to what are you more passionate about? Are you more passionate about politics or are you more passionate about the relationship? And so people that are more passionate about the relationship, and even if they're on different political sides, if they incorporate these four things, they have a better chance at relationship harmony. It's almost like riding a tandem bike, right? They're kind of like doing it together. So if you want to go down this road, the first thing I would say, Art and Jennifer, it's respect. And part of that is understanding why your partner has that political leaning. And it may surprise you, but I actually was in this type of relationship for about 3.5 years. And we were in different political parties, but I asked my partner, he said, you know what, I vote with my wallet. And literally that was his answer. He voted with his wallet. He did not like to talk about politics. So that leads into the second thing. What agreements does the couple have? So incorporate some type of agreement so you can be clear on your boundaries so that you're not pushing certain buttons that you know will be a little bit volatile, right? So we had an agreement which was don't talk politics. And it could be literally that simple, right? But it comes down to what are you more passionate about? And we were more passionate about the relationship than we were about politics. And then the third element is communication. I can't stress that enough. Communication, communication, communication. And because communication is the key to connection. And so when it comes to especially politics, incorporate like a 30-minute rule, which means if this conversation is going in a direction that we don't like it, just talk about it for 30 minutes and then just agree to disagree. And then you can pick it up if you want to at another day after you each are able to reflect on what you shared, right? And then the fourth element is acceptance, right? Honoring your partner versus trying to control or change them. So for those that are, say, yes, but they're trying to either control or change, and that's why that is not going to work. So those are the four, like, secrets if they want to make it work in an interpolitical party that they can play around with.
Our text line's open, and Stacey, we often hear from texters, but I just want to encourage anyone, 84126, if you have any questions for Stacey Murphy. She's a certified intimacy coach, author of The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy, and also you have the Vixen Academy. What is that?
The Vixen Academy. Well, first, I like to share with the listeners what a vixen is, right? So I kind of turned it into a little fun little acronym. So a vixen is a woman who's vivacious. She's intelligent. She's extraordinary in her own right. She feels empowered. But here's the piece de resistance. She knows when to be naughty as well as nice. Right? And so that is what a vixen is. And I work with a lot of professional women, really teaching them how to be strong, feminine, and seductive in the presence of high caliber men in both life and love, so they can attract their king, and so they can have a juicy and joyful relationship that stands the test of time. So it's really bringing the fun back into relationships, because we are way too serious about so many things. And it's like, let's have fun once again, and we can achieve that. And so that is what the Vixen Academy does. It's very playful, a little bit provocative as well, because I focus on, in my coaching and teaching, the 3 top reasons relationships fail, which are incompatibility, money, and sex. Yes, sex. And so I get into all of that juiciness so that my clients and students are equipped going into a relationship healthy, whole, and complete. And if they're already in a relationship, if it's good, to make it great. And if it's on life support, let's see if we can get it to a part where we can take you off of life support and you can sustain the relationship moving forward from there. So that's how I play in the sandbox with my clients.
So let's talk about incompatibility. In what ways do you hear from clients that they're incompatible and that's why the relationship fails?
Well, what happens, even with research, almost like 43% of the relationships, around 43 or 48% of the relationships fail due to incompatibility. And pretty much what that is, people are not going into a relationship healing their issues, right, which is really focus on themselves, because that's what you have control over to do. But then they also don't understand the opposite sex. So that's where the incompatibility is. And the biggest bone of contention in so many relationships is the communication. That's like the number one thing. And, you know, women, they're from Venus and men are from Mars. So I teach, especially my ladies, I say you need to understand the terrain of Mars, you know, the peaks and the valleys, so that you can understand where men are coming from. And then high caliber men are doing the same in terms of to attract a high value woman. So I tell my ladies, don't worry about what men are doing, because you don't have control over that. Just focus on what you have control over, which is yourself. And so I work with the ladies so they can feel strong, so they can feel empowered, so they have high self-confidence and self-worth. And this is what I call you really stepping into their queen status, right? And that's what their feminine genius is. And then I work with a lot of ladies, especially in our modern society. We are so caught up in our masculine energy, right? And so a lot of women... Wait
a minute. Who's caught up in their masculine energy?
A lot of women are caught up in their
I said that to you last week.
What does that mean? And before you tell me that, here's a fun fact. The guy who wrote women are from Venus and men are from Mars was married to Barbara DeAngelis, who is a relationship expert, who wrote How to Find the Man You Want. They got divorced.
Well, here's
for the record.
I do it because I actually interviewed John Gray. I
have too.
And he's really, really sweet man, so humble for his level in life. And this is what I tell a lot of people. It's just because someone is a relationship coach, a love coach, or sex coach, they still deal with their own issues in a relationship because they're in a relationship with another person.
True.
You have those tools and you have those skills, you have those abilities that make it more, you can have a greater degree of success. But there are certain relationships, like you said, there's a reason or a season for every reason or a reason for every season. It's sort of like the benefit that you got in that relationship, you've actually reached the full benefit of whatever that relationship is. And so from there, you then part in peace.
Okay, so Stacey, just one more thing, because we're almost out of time here. But can we go back and can you explain why women, I think you said we struggle with our masculine energy? What does that mean?
Well, what happens is back in the second wave of the feminist movement, which was kind of when I was born in the 60s and things of that nature, what happened was in that second wave of the feminist movement, it was femininity was suppressed because it was viewed at that point that people would not take women seriously, especially when it came into the workplace, especially when it came to female empowerment and things of that nature. So a unintended consequence of it was those femininity skills, what made women women, were totally suppressed to the point that modern women don't even know how to be feminine, right? And so even in the way we walk, even in the way we have conversations, it's very masculine driven in the way we're having conversations, which has benefited a lot in the business environment. But here's where it's actually tripped up a lot of women, is they don't turn that off when they get home. And so then when they're home, they're still in that business, go, 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 masculine driven mindset when they get home. And so when they're home, if they're with a partner, and this is if it's a heterosexual couple, so because there are all different ways you slice and dice it, but if we're talking specifically about heterosexual couples, when a woman gets home, she's still in that masculine energy, and then her partner feels like he's in a relationship with another dude.
Okay.
Right? So, and like that.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh, my
So,
God.
Right. So he thinks in a relationship with the other dude, and so that's where power struggles come in. Now, there is a difference in terms of, well, I say to ladies, you don't want to be aggressive. You want to take initiative because they're different. They feel different. So I teach women, here's masculine energy, what it feels like. Here's what feminine energy feels like. Every woman has masculine energy in her, just like every man has feminine energy within himself. But they're totally different degrees. And so when you understand how that puzzle fits together, that is what comes to the incompatibility piece. It's because most couples don't know how that fits together.
Stacey,
Right,
we're
so-
going to have to talk with you again because this is fascinating.
I would definitely love to. I can go on about this.
I know we're out of time, but I for one, appreciate that explanation. And I want to tell our listeners, if they want to hear more from Stacey Murphy, just Google Vixen Academy. And Art and I will be calling you again so we could talk some more.
Yeah, and they can just go to my website at thevixenacademy.com, and they can find out some more juicy stuff that I do.
Sounds great, Stacey. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, Art and Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.